Chapter 21. The next night, Maggie met up with Tilly at Critter's. They decided to get some drinks before looking for Cam and his brothers. Tilly and Maggie made their way through the crowd and to the bar. The bartender stood at the other end of the counter, flirting with two women dressed in tight jeans and low-cut shirts. Maggie waved, trying to get his attention, but he never looked her way. She nudged Tilly.
Flash him? No way.
Maggie drummed her fingers on the counter.
Guess we'll have to wait. Star says you went home with Cam last night.
Tilly waggled her brows.
Do tell. Star's a big mouth. Don't play with me. We both know you're dying to dish.
Maggie laughed.
How'd you get Nate to let you out tonight? I thought he didn't like Cam. No change in the subject. I want details.
Maggie felt a tap on her back and glanced over her shoulder. Long time no see. Maggie turned and faced him.
Not long enough.
He eyed Tilly. Who's your friend? Cam shook his head as he watched AJ leave the men's room for the second time in the last hour. The man was a menace to the female species. I'm gonna hit the head. Jags nodded and Cam made his way through the crowd. As he neared the narrow corridor near the back of the smoky room, he spotted Maggie at the bar. A tall, blonde man stood close to her. Too close. Maggie scooted off the tall chair and pressed her body against his, bringing her face inches from the man he planned on beating to death. Against his better judgment, Cam marched toward them.
How about I scream again for you? How's tomorrow sound?
Cam forced himself to remain calm and think before he exploded.
Scream for you.
But with every second that passed, his anger only multiplied.
Scream for you.
Just heard him.
Scream for you.
Don't kill him.
Only you.
Fuck. I'm gonna kill him. Shoving between the bastard and Maggie, Cam gripped the fucker under his arms, took two large strides, and slammed him against the brick-faced wall. He swirled a stream of whiskey-flavored breath at his eyes. The man blinked. What's your problem? The sound of his vile voice cracked Cam's resolve. A shiver snaked through him. Moisture swelled in his eyes as images of the bastard between Maggie's thighs danced around his head. Maggie shoved her way between him and her would-be lover and clung to Cam's neck.
It's not what you think, baby. Let me explain.
Tears streamed down her face. He shifted his hold on the fucker to one hand. Grinning, Cam slid his free arm around her waist. With his lips close to her ear, Cam whispered, "You're mine. Or have you forgotten?" Jags grasped Cam's arm and AJ clutched the other. A spear of pain shot from the back of his skull and exploded behind his eyes. An uncontrollable rage took possession of his mind and body. He struggled to break from his brother's hold. They dragged him away from Maggie and her would-be lover. The fucker straightened his blue and green striped collared shirt, glanced at Maggie, and blew her a kiss. Until next time. Summoning unnatural strength, Cam tossed his brothers like beach balls. AJ and Jags scrambled to their feet, barely catching him before he reached his target. Maggie rushed toward the bastard and splayed her hand on his chest.
Just go.
He gave her a mock salute and gave another to Cam before leaving the bar. Maggie's cold hands framed Cam's sweaty face.
Let me explain.
Cam glared at his brother, still dangling from his arms. You can let me go now. When Maggie nodded, they released Cam. He raked his hands through his hair, pulling the skin tight around his eyes. He flipped a table.
Damn, man, that's a $9 drink.
Cam heard someone yelling, but he might as well have spoken in gibberish. Cam's mind couldn't process anything but the rage clouding his dark thoughts. Cam jerked the door open. She covered her face and fell to her knees.
I've lost him.
Jags crouched before her. What happened? Her hands slid down her face.
He thinks I'm sleeping with that man, but I'm not. I would never. You have to believe me.
Jags wiped a tear from her cheek. I don't doubt you for a second. He sat on the dirty wood floor, took her in his arms, and positioned her sideways across his lap. We'll fix this. But first you have to tell me everything. He put a finger under her chin and lifted her head. Can you do that? Can you trust me? Maggie nodded, buried her face in his shirt, and burst into hysterics. Amongst a crowd of nosy onlookers, Jags rocked her in his arms. Good girl. Cam sat in the driveway, hands gripped around the steering wheel. A sharp twinge erupted in his chest, twisting and circling his organs. He stumbled into the house and stopped to clutch his stomach. He hobbled to the bathroom. He dropped to his knees and hurled into the white porcelain bowl. When the rolls slowed, he got to his feet, turned the knob on the sink, and splashed cool water into his mouth. He closed his eyes. His arm cradled his abdomen. Images of Maggie fucking the bastard raced through his mind. Cam could see the man's hands gliding over her naked body, as if they were sprawled out on the floor right before him. His stomach rolled again. He dropped to his knees and vomited again. With both hands gripped on the lid, he hung his head and waited for the churning to stop. Gramps darkened the doorway. AJ? Using the rim of the bathroom sink, Cam hoisted himself to his feet, his gaze on the shiny silver encircling the drain of the sink. Cam? Yup. Gently, Cam pushed past his grandfather, went to the liquor cabinet behind Gramps' recliner, and crouched. Bouncing on his haunches, he grabbed a bottle of Jack. He glanced up at his grandfather and squinted. The glare of the 5-light ceiling fan prodded at his dry eyes. "Where's Dad?"
"I sent him home an hour ago."
Cam punched a fist into the beige shag carpet. "I don't want you here alone." The Tennessee whiskey burned a trail down his throat. The burn brought a smile to Cam's face. Gramps stepped closer and Cam glanced up. From the top shelf of the liquor cabinet, Gramps grabbed a rocks glass.
"Son, what's wrong?"
Cam took the glass, set it on the carpet, and, with a trembling hand, filled the glass, a 3-finger pour. He sat on the floor and tucked the bottle in the center of his crossed legs. Holding the glass by the rim, he dangled the dark liquid before his face. His eyes narrowed and his head drifted to the side as he gazed at the liquor swirling in a hypnotic and graceful motion. Cam tossed the entire contents back. The room spun. He grabbed the bottle from the clutches of his legs. The rotation of the room increased its speed. Using both shaky hands, he steadied the bottle over the glass and refilled his drink. A 4-finger pour, then tucked the bottle between his crossed legs.
"There's Coke in the refrigerator."
"No Coke tonight." He swirled the whiskey and dipped his nose in the glass. Jack Daniels. Happiness in a bottle. No complications. Cam turned his blurred focus toward his grandfather. "Did Meemaw ever hurt you? I mean really, really hurt you?"
"What's happened?"
"Maggie hurt me." When Gramps put a hand on his back, Cam clutched one of his grandfather's legs. "She really, really hurt me."